Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Welcome back to our Coffee Talk Teacher Conversation. I'm Andrea L. Rome. I am co-chair of Bergen County Chad chapter. I am an ADDer. I have three kids with ADHD, and I'm an ADHD parent coach, and I work with high school and college kids as well. Joni.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad you're here. I'm Joni Korn. I'm an ADHD coach, a parent coach, a positive psychology coach. I'm on the board of the Bergen County CHAD, and I have ADHD. My 25-year-old is ADHD, and I'm excited to have you guys here today and share with you. Deb?
Hi, I'm Deborah Goldstein. I am also on the Bergen County CHAD board. I'm also an ADHD coach. I'm a teacher, former elementary school teacher, current high school teacher, and I have my own crew of kids, some with ADHD, some without. And I'm excited to have this conversation again.
Joni, do you think that you could just really recap what we spoke about in our last session so that we can continue that?
Yeah, I'll just do that really briefly. We talked about how to create a safe space and how to notice your how important your self-regulation is in order to be able to be available to your student to co-regulate with you. And that starts out with your own mindset, noticing what your mindset is, noticing the language that you're using to describe the situation, and making it more neutral or positive so we can show up with a better mindset. And it's very individual to you, like what calms us? How do I notice when I'm starting to get dysregulated? What can I do for myself? And that's all pre-planning, right? Notice for ourselves. So that's the recap. Very brief. I invite you to go back and listen to it because there's much more than that. Um, so how do we notice, right? What do we do for our student when they're getting dysregulated? And we all have fluctuating energy levels throughout the day, right? And our neurodivergent kids have bigger fluctuations and they have bigger, more open sensitivities. Everything's coming in to them that they're dealing with a lot more sensory stimuli coming in. So noticing your students' fluctuating state and when that state starts to go in a dysregulated pattern, and I say pattern because we see these patterns all the time. If we think about it, we know this student, we know what's happening. And when noticing, and some of the behaviors that we'll notice is they may get really quiet, right? They may get really pale. They may get really frenetic. They may start poking their neighbor. They may start teacher, 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 or their hand just keeps going up. Their behavior is changing. And so noticing what that student's behavior pattern is to indicate a state that is getting dysregulated and noticing it earlier and earlier and earlier in the process, because the earlier in the process we catch it, the easier it is for them to co-regulate. Once they're at a 10, we have a big problem on our hands. But if we notice it at a 10, if we notice it when they're just about to explode, we're late to the game. How do
I
we
do
get
want
earlier
to
to the
point
game?
out that there are plenty of kids that will give zero indication until you're late in the game. And
I don't
it's
agree with that.
not, and it's and they may not be off, but they may go from 0 to 10 so quickly. So
But
you
Deb, I
need
just want to
to
jump in. I just
know
want to
that
jump
as a
in.
teacher, it may not be, you may not be missing it. It may not be on you. It may be the way the student is presenting, that they're going from 0 to 10 quickly. And I would encourage you to notice what's happening before that in the classroom setting and try to find patterns in that.
Whether it's not a blame game. It's not the teacher has done something wrong if their student melts down. It doesn't mean the teacher did something wrong. They missed something there. It's not about them, right? It's about how do we improve the situation? How do we get in there earlier? What do we notice?
Right. So I just want to say it's about this awareness piece, noticing the patterns, noticing, what it is that, how are they exhibiting what's going wrong for them or what skills do they not have. And I think it's very important that each kid has their own calming toolkit. And whether that's physical or just mental, I think it's very, very important that teachers are aware that each one of these neurodiverse students who dysregulate has the kit and what does each kid need. So whether it's the breathing or counting backwards or, you know, taking cold water on their face, whatever it might be, I think we have to be really cognizant of what does their toolkit look like and how can I teach each kid individually how to use it appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can look at it as an extension of their IEP, right? This is their individualized plan. Teacher noticing, really focusing in on what is this child's indicators of dysregulation? What do they look like?
And we can
So I
do
can get
this even
earlier in the
without
process.
a child having an IEP, because not every kid
Yeah,
that
I'm
can
just using
go
that as an
send
example.
our classroom off the rails will be an IEP student, but we need to view it as this is my individual plan for this student, even if there's not an official IEP or 504 or whatever
Right,
document
right.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. I
and
was
the
just
other
using that as an
thing
example.
that I wanted to call to attention in the last few minutes that we have here is what we're going to do with this information and how we're going to use it to support this student's learning and all of our students' learning. And one of the things that we had, thought about when we were brainstorming this session was having the teacher go back during a planning period in the evening and just think about it. Think about what worked, what didn't work, and maybe jotting down a note or two just for yourself, just to concretize that, but how you can create a plan for moving forward. And remembering, because this is important, that a plan is not written in stone. It's flexible. And it's not a reflection on the teacher's ability to control her classroom or to create a learning environment. It's a plan to try, and it's a step forward.
And I think Joni brought up something very important. If you've met one ADD or you've met one ADDer, each one of our kids has their own set of skills that are lacking. So we have to take that into consideration and how each toolkit or each set of skills is going to look different for that particular student. So
And
that's,
it's moving away from this idea of failure or trial and error. It's not trial and error. You try something and you get information. And that information tells you how to move forward, right? It's not about mistakes. It's not about blame. It's not about errors. It's information coming in. How do we best move forward to try to create a more positive learning environment, an environment where this child can learn, right? And then also noticing the little successes along the way, because they're not little, they're huge, right? Not having the success being okay when this child is be able to sit in his chair and hand in his work and look neurotypical. That's not success. Who is this child? And let's recognize every single little success along the way, because all those little successes will calm them, help and empower them and their self-worth and their self-esteem to be able to move towards their goal.
I love that, Joni. I think we need to um, copyright it. It's not trial and error, it's trial and learn.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds cliche, but success builds success. So, what are we paying attention to, right? When we're doing our own things in life and people give us praise or they're noticing the good stuff, we're apt to do more and more of that. What you pay attention to grows. So, I know we only have another 30 seconds or so. Is there anything else you'd like to add for our viewers to take away?
Yeah, I want to just share, as you said, what we pay attention to grows. When, as the adult in the room, you are getting so frustrated by something not happening, if you can look at what is happening and point it out, you might be surprised by the results.
Yeah. And I also want to say that it's really hard as teachers. I was a teacher as well, and we need support. And whether it's another colleague or an administrator, um, but also we as a Bergen County chapter have a teacher talks group. It's going to begin, I think, in October of 2025 again. So I invite you all to come into that group and share some of your concerns, and perhaps together we can brainstorm and collaborate how we can help to make it more successful in your classroom. But for now, we're going to have to wrap up. So
Can I say one thing that I just want to add to this? I think it's really important. When we're noticing what's working, we're not just doing it for the child and to help them regulate. We're doing it for ourselves. Because when I start noticing what's working, I start to calm myself and I remind myself, oh, everything is not going wrong. This was working, this was working, this is working. Okay, great. Calm myself, come back to my prefrontal cortex. Okay, great. What can I try next? It regulates me as well.
great point. Great point. Just
Thank you
looking at the
so much,
clock, so we're going to sign
Brady.
off. Thank you. And see you next time.
Bye.